Yo, what's going on? It is Wrestling Uncensored. We are recapping everything we just saw on Smackdown. The draft, night one in the books. Charlotte Flair moving over to WWE Smackdown. Bianca Belair going to Raw. And we are watching AEW Rampage right now. Bryan Danielson and Nick Jackson are in the ring. Let's go! I mean, you know, Bryan Danielson, Nick Jackson, wrestling in a match right now on Rampage. Goodness. What's up, John?
Yeah, that's currently happening. Yes,
yeah, I know.
That is happening right now.
That's why you don't want to talk to me right now, because you're trying to watch this match. I don't really want to talk. Can
Well,
you do the show while this match goes on, and then I'll jump in. We
can talk about the draft. I thought the draft was pretty good tonight. Like,
yeah.
Maybe
Go
not
ahead.
so much the wrestling was good, but I thought the draft was good. I love it. It's just me now. It's just the Johnny North show now.
Yeah. I'll watch this wrestling match. I'll come back.
Yeah, so Smackdown was pretty good tonight. I thought excellent segment again from Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman. I mean, when you think about it in wrestling, it's the best thing
David,
to watch.
It's your Olympic hero.
What the hell happened?
Congratulations.
What is happening?
Kurt Angle.
Ah!
Get out of here, Kurt Angle.
Get out of here, Kurt Angle.
Uncensored.net.
What?
Congratulations. Happy birthday, my friend.
Oh, thanks,
I will
Kurt.
see you soon in a ring.
What?
Take care and God bless. Happy birthday, my friend.
Hello, everyone. It's the Native American Tatanka coming right here from my tribal homelands where my family and I live. Beautiful place. Again, I'm here to give a big birthday wish to David Simon on October the 3rd. Also, David, we want to thank you for your love of this business. Great industry we're in. Again, professional wrestling, sports entertainment, because you're the host, which is named Wrestling Uncensored. All the fans worldwide, you can see his radio and podcast again at WrestlingUncensored.net. Again, let me give that to you again. His radio and podcast is at WrestlingUncensored.net. Again, David, have a great and awesome birthday. May all your dreams come true. It's the Native American Tatanka.
That's
Peace.
right.
I'm out.
He's out. God bless. What? I had nothing to do with that. I don't know.
That was just gonna drop whenever, I guess, and it just happened to drop when it did, I guess.
You got to talk to the production team. I have no idea. That has nothing to do with me.
Well, it's nice that you got Tatanka and Kurt Angle to wish you happy birthday. That's always nice. I feel the Kurt Angle thing is like many years old, but I never seen the Tatanka one, so that's cool.
Don't worry about it. Those are all brand new. They love me, those guys. They love me. Shout out to Franco 316. Shout out to Bob Cote. Shout out to Brian Firth. Seeing you guys on the chat. Doug Hepburn. And Danny Brook Media, whoever that is. AJ, I guess.
It's AJ.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. I know it's AJ. I'm well aware of AJ on a Friday night. He's having fun. We're watching Bryan Danielson and Nick Jackson. Yeah, it's my birthday on Sunday. Johnny got me a really sweet birthday present. So, AJ, just so you know, the competition is serious here. Look what Johnny got me. Get this. Get this. Nick Diaz.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool.
That's beautiful. Look at that. It's amazing. Stockton 209. Nick Diaz. UFC 266 to commemorate his last fight. Possibly his last fight ever. Thank you, Johnny. Very much appreciated.
I thought it was going to be his last fight ever. And it still might be, so who knows? So, yeah, kind of makes it special in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. It might have been the last one ever. So, thank you, John. It's very nice of you. It's very nice. It's perfect. It's exactly my style. You know me. You know me, John. I love it.
Well, I figured that one instead of the one with his face on it. I'm like, yeah, you're not more of a face kind of guy. You're more of like that kind of style, I think.
Yeah, I like that style. It's cool. Very nice. I appreciate it, John. Johnny, I love how you bring gifts too, like Santa Claus. You just leave things in the mailbox and you disappear. Then you send a text when you're long gone. Classic Johnny.
I got things to do, as you know. So I had to catch up on like 2 episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. Like, there was a lot of watching today.
Yeah, how about that Onita? Good God. Pretty cool. Pretty cool deathmatch guy. I watched that Dark Side of the Ring. I was a little confused by parts of it, but like, why did he decide to leave wrestling so many times and then come back and all that? It was weird.
Well, it's a very unforgiving position that he was in, like pretty much killing himself every match. You can only do that for so long. The fact that he did that for 5 years straight, it's kind of impressive, but you can't do that for that long and then expect a long career.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised he was able to withstand everything he was able to withstand. I guess we could talk about Dark Side of the Ring later if you want to. We could. I know people have been wanting to hear your thoughts on the Chris Kanyon thing and our thoughts on the Kanyon one, the Onita one. We could talk about as well. We are watching Nick Jackson and Bryan Danielson. They're in a commercial break in picture right now, and it's been a pretty fun match. It's been pretty good so far. This Rampage looks really good. We got Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose coming up in a triple threat match, and you've also got Orange Cassidy versus Jack Evans in a hair versus hair. It's one of the better episodes of Rampage they've ever put together, mostly because of this match right here. I feel like every match that Bryan Danielson is in right now in AEW is a dream match. Is that just me because I'm a huge Bryan Danielson fan? Like, I'm just... Or do you feel that too?
Well, it's only his second match. It's the way I'm looking at it. Like, it's the second time he's wrestling, so I'm not really seeing this as like the dream match. Wasn't dying to see him wrestle one of the Young Bucks in a match, but it's his second match. This makes sense. He's going to wrestle pretty much all the Elite before he gets to Kenny. All right. I imagine the matches should be all right, and this was all right so far. I can't say this is as great as his match as Kenny was, because it's not so far.
No, but it is good, and I'm just a big fan of Nick Jackson as a singles wrestler. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there, and the fact that they're giving Bryan Danielson a singles match here with Nick Jackson so quickly into his AEW run, I think is cool. He could have wrestled any number of guys, right? He could have wrestled anybody here. This could have been Brandon Cutler, right? But we get Nick Jackson. It's a much better move to get Nick Jackson because I think Nick is really good as a singles wrestler. I think he could have a run. I think he could, maybe become the world champion one day in this company. He's a very talented guy, not just as a tag team, and I like that he's getting this match with Bryan Danielson. I think it's cool for the Nick Jackson solo career, which I'm a fan of, I'm a fan of Bryan Danielson wrestling, but I'm also a fan of Nick Jackson solo. So it's like double win for me.
He's got a couple of wins already, big wins as a singles guy. You just don't see him wrestle that much as a singles guy. So he's got if Danielson's going to wrestle the Elite, he's got to wrestle more like the top tier Elite. He can't just wrestle Cutler. It's kind of a joke match. It's like more for dark. He's going to wrestle on Rampage, it needs to be a bit more high profile. This makes more sense. It's not too high profile, but it's enough to get you interested.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. This is, to me, one of the matches I really wanted to see Bryan Danielson have here in AEW. That's why I'm a little distracted, John. I'm trying to talk to you about things, but I'm watching this match, and it's been pretty cool. I love Bryan Danielson in AEW. I think it's fantastic. I love that he went here. I love that he's now in the company, wrestling on a regular basis, doing his thing, able to do really the best work that he's possibly capable of doing, not the best work he's allowed to do, He's got fewer restrictions on him, and he's a true wrestling artist, so you got to give a guy like that no restrictions. Let him do what he wants. He's one of these guys that doesn't need anybody kind of guiding him or telling him what to do. He's a grand master at this. He's top level. He's a 10-stripe black belt at pro wrestling. The guy is one of the greatest of all time. You didn't need to give Bret Hart a script. You didn't need to give Bret Hart a bunch of restrictions and tell him how to wrestle. No one told Bret Hart how to wrestle. He was given some guidelines and some help when he wanted it, but the guys in the WWE now are overproduced, and I think it hurts their product. I think it hurts their true talent, like their top-level wrestlers that are real artists and really know what they're doing, I think are hindered a little bit by the WWE system. I think, though, a lot of their people that don't know what they're doing and are just kind of there because of their look or whatever reason, their family, they're helped by the system because, they're given a lot of, this is point A, this is point B, this is, it's kind of paint by numbers in WWE for a lot of people. They make it kind of easier. Wow. German suplex on the apron there. Nick Jackson on Bryan Danielson. That was a hell of a move. Hell of a maneuver. But I feel like the great wrestlers are hindered by the WWE system. But the kind of mediocre wrestlers or the not-so-good wrestlers, they're helped along by that system because it's kind of easier. They give you more instruction, right? What do you think, John? You're a wrestler.
It's more controlled. That's pretty much that's what they try to do. They want to make sure they control everything so they know what's going to be said and how things are going to go, so they can also time everything correctly as well, because they got to make sure when they know they go to break and everything. So
yeah, but AEW too.
It's just structured. Yeah, AEW does it too, but it's a little bit different.
WWE is a little overstructured. It's safer too, right? The way that they wrestle in WWE, the things that they're allowed to do a little bit less. It's safer. There's more restrictions.
Yeah. But it's not like that for everyone. I mean, you see it for some guys, they kind of just do what they want. You see Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, that's pretty much them. I mean, I think Heyman is more likely has a lot of control and say of what's being said in that one. Because you see that's on a whole different level compared to everything else you see on the program.
Yeah. Heyman looked like he was crying tonight. What's going on with Heyman? Is he all right?
Heyman's amazing. Like, so good. Like, he really is like the best like supporting like character in WWE. There's no question about it. So good. And it's just amazing how he's able to like chain himself up every now and then. Like, it's not the same as how he was with Brock. It's a little bit different now, and it's still good.
Yeah. He's in a different position here with Roman Reigns than he was with Brock. This match has been pretty damn awesome. Oh!
How about
suplex with the bridge from Bryan. Good God. How about Brock? He was on the show tonight. I didn't know he was going to be on tonight.
It's a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was all right. He did a bit of a promo. I mean, it wasn't that much talking. Oh, there's the cattle mutilation. Nick Jackson taps out. Dragon wins.
Well, you didn't think he'd lose. Like, he hasn't won a match yet.
No.
He's got to win.
I like that he won with his like old Ring of Honor submission move. That's what it's called, right? Cattle mutilation? Is that what it's called? It sounds horrible.
Pretty sure that's what it's called. I don't have audio. It's muted here, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was called.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that submission move that he hits there. It's called the cattle mutilation. And Bryan Danielson made Nick Jackson tap to it. Not a move that he used in WWE. But he's bringing it back. This is not Daniel Bryan. This is the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And despite the interference there from Brandon Cutler and Matt Jackson, Bryan Danielson able to kick Cutler in the face. Or actually, Nick Jackson accidentally kicked Cutler in the face. That's how Cutler got taken out. Danielson pushed Matt Jackson off the apron. And now they're promoting the Elite versus the Bryan Danielson, Christian, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy match on Dynamite, which is pretty cool. Christian hits a kill switch on Matt Jackson. Christian's in the ring now. Luchasaurus is in the ring. Jungle Boy's hit the ring to help Bryan Danielson. And now they've got an STF on... Jungle Boy's got an STF on Adam Cole. They've got Adam Cole trapped in the ring, and all the Elite has been kicked out, beat up, and tossed out of the ring. And they're not coming in to help their boy. Their boy is just getting attacked. Oh, here comes Kenny. Kenny's coming to help. but he's going to be put in the yes lock by Bryan Danielson.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I still think, well, again, it's only going to be his third match, so he's probably going to win that one as well. He'll probably make Matt Jackson tap probably in that match on Dynamite.
Why Matt Jackson?
Well, he's got to do the whole, like, beat all the elite, right? And there's a good possibility maybe he doesn't get to wrestle him one-on-one. He's probably going to wrestle one of the Good Brothers one-on-one, probably both of them maybe. So
that makes sense. That was kind of weird how they made Adam Cole and Kenny Omega tap out on the mat there in front of each other, and then once they tapped out, they're like, all right. And then they let go of their submission holds, and then they allowed them to roll out of the ring. It's a bit of a weird ending to that little segment there with Danielson, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy standing tall. They'll wrestle the Bucks, Kenny, and Adam Cole on Dynamite Wednesday, which is pretty good. It's a pretty good matchup. And I like that Bryan Danielson is wrestling so often. So many matches for this guy. Friday night on Rampage, again on Wednesday night on Dynamite. This guy's not messing around. Came to wrestle.
There was a Will Hobbs promo. I have no idea what he said, though. Like, any idea what he said?
It's still going on. It's now Ricky Starks in a car. I have no idea what they're saying. I can't hear it.
Oh, I thought it went to commercial. This is still actually the promo. Okay.
It looked like a commercial for a car, but it was actually Ricky Starks talking in a car.
Ah.
It did look like a car commercial, though. Yeah, I don't know what they said there, and I don't really care. Let's give you some WWE Draft results now that we're in a commercial break for Rampage. And really, we just saw the match that we wanted to see. I mean, everything else here is going to be all right, but that was the match. That was the main event. Right? Jade Cargill's going to wrestle. That's cool, but everything else, like Jack Evans will get his head shaved later. Okay, whatever. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always fun to watch that kind of stuff, though.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I mean, we'll watch it, but we just saw the big match of the night. Nothing's going to top what we just saw. I thought the match was pretty damn good. Not as good as Kenny, but, very good.
Yeah, it was a match of the night. I don't know. I mean, again, night's not over yet, so we'll wait and see.
With SmackDown, it's definitely match of the night. Match of the wrestling night that we've seen so far. I mean, what matches did we see on SmackDown? We saw Happy Corbin beating Kevin Owens in a pretty quick match that was not great. We saw the New Day and the Street Profits beat Gable, Otis, Ziggler, and Rude, which was, fine. And then we saw Sasha Banks get the win over Bianca Belair in the main event of SmackDown with a jackknife cover and some help from Becky Lynch, who was holding Bianca's ponytail. Becky on commentary during that match. I'd say that was probably the match of the night on SmackDown, but that Bryan Danielson-Nick Jackson match of the night of wrestling, they've won the night, I think.
More than likely, but again, it's not over yet. We still have to watch the other matches for you to declare that for sure, but I mean, there's a good possibility, yes.
5-star Jade Cargill, though, you never know. She might come in and steal the show.
There's a lot of variables in that match. You just never know that because it's triple threat. What can happen in that? So,
Thunder Rosa is really, really good, and
that's it.
And Nyla Rose is steadily improving, and Jade Cargill is one of my favorites. I love Jade Cargill, so how could you not? How could you not? Let me give you the draft results real quick, tell you who's going where and what happened on night 1 of the WWE Draft. On Monday night, it'll be night 2. We'll wrap this sucker up. Roman Reigns was drafted to SmackDown, which is his current brand. That's how they started the draft. They're like, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville come out on the stage and like, here's some picks to the draft. And Roman Reigns is going to be on SmackDown. We're like, yeah, we know. He's already on SmackDown. But they do this a lot, right? Big E drafted to Raw. He's a WWE champion. He was technically a part of the SmackDown roster, but he's the WWE champion, which is the Raw champion. He's been on Raw, so no real change there. Charlotte Flair drafted to SmackDown, kind of a big deal. She's the Raw Women's Champion, but that's something that I did predict. Were you with me when I predicted the draft stuff, or was that Monday night with my brother?
I think you've mentioned it a couple of times now. You said it more than once. You said it a couple of shows, I think, where you feel the women's champions will switch shows.
Right. I also said Drew McIntyre was going to go to SmackDown to feud with Roman because Roman's a heel and he needs new babyface challenges. I said Seth Rollins was going to move to Raw. Have they?
Yeah, they've been advertising that for like live events, Drew versus Roman. Like it's been advertised for like all of October.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. That was just my intuition. I seriously had no idea. I said Seth would be moving over to Raw, which I thought was kind of a no-brainer because you move Becky over to Raw, and they're going to go together. And Seth makes sense going over to Raw to go feud with Big E for the WWE Championship because Seth as the number 2 heel next to Roman on SmackDown just doesn't make any kind of sense. Seth hasn't been drafted to Raw officially, but it's going to happen Monday night. I guarantee it. Bianca Belair drafted to Raw I thought was an interesting move. The Street Profits have not been moved yet, but expect them to go to Raw on Monday when they finish that draft because Bianca and her husband Montez will likely stay together. Drew McIntyre drafted to SmackDown as we expected. RK Bro, the Raw Tag Team Champions, will stay on Raw, which means that the Usos, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, will definitely stay on SmackDown. And you know the Tribal Chief wants them to stay on SmackDown. He was adamant about that tonight. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods leaving their buddy Big E. The New Day splitting up again. They're going to SmackDown from Raw. That was a move. Edge going from SmackDown to Raw as well. Happy Corbin and his new manager, tag team partner, Riddick Moss, now known as Madcap Moss, which we'll get to, I'm sure. They will remain on SmackDown. Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash, the women's tag team champions, they'll remain on Raw. Hit Row, a group from NXT, they're being called up to SmackDown. Keith the Bearcat Lee will remain on Raw. Naomi staying on SmackDown, another indication that her husband Jimmy Uso and his brother Jay will remain on the Blue Show. Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic going over to Raw. Jeff Hardy moving from Raw to SmackDown. Austin Theory moving from NXT back to Raw. He actually went from NXT to Raw, back to NXT. Now he's going back to Raw. His second time on Raw. And these new rosters will not officially go into effect until after Crown Jewel. So everybody stays on their show until October the 22nd. So we still have like 2 more SmackDowns with these current rosters before they change everything up. I think the biggest move is Charlotte going to SmackDown and Hit Row being called up. A brand new group, not just 1 or 2 guys. It's like 4 people. I think they got a lady in there. They got 3 dudes, I think. Maybe a manager. It's like a whole thing. I feel like Hit Row is the biggest news of this draft. What else really happened?
Well, Brock's promo. Well, Brock said that he's a free agent and he's going to go wherever he wants. So that means you're going to see him on SmackDown and on Raw if they need for that to happen. So
yeah. Didn't like Undertaker have one of those deals too where he was like a free agent and could show up whenever? Didn't Brock also have that deal in past drafts where he could kind of show up wherever he was a free agent?
But he also didn't have that though, remember? Remember where like he was on SmackDown and then like, oh, I'll go wherever I want, and then oh yeah, I'll just stay on Raw.
I spilled my coffee all over myself there. Huh?
It's okay, you're a birthday boy, you can do what you want.
I missed the mark. Yeah. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't happen for Brock. Free agency in the draft. I don't know.
That's just them, just because like, well, Brock's on SmackDown for now, but maybe we'll put him on Raw. We don't know. Well, we'll just put him in free agent. It's easier that way.
Just move him around whenever you need him in a big time match. I think this is just for Crown Jewel, right? Brock's not here. Like, I think the reason why he's a free agent is because right now he's involved with the SmackDown champion, but he might be involved with a Raw champion at some point in the future. Depends on when and where they choose to use Brock again. This is his, few appearances before Crown Jewel. He'll have the match with Roman in Saudi Arabia. He'll lose, and then we won't see him for a while. And then WWE will figure out, when do we need Brock? Okay, let's use him for this. And then maybe it'll be on Raw, maybe it'll be on SmackDown. He's not a free agent because they have plans to use him on both shows. He's a free agent because they have no idea what they're going to do with Brock past Crown Jewel, right? It's not like some great storytelling. It's just kind of we don't know.
Well, for me, it makes him the top candidate to win the Rumble now. Because now you really think, what's he going to go? Because, he could have storylines on both shows. So that makes it more interesting. Maybe he will go to SmackDown, Roman. That makes a lot of sense. Or he starts something with the Raw champion. Maybe he'll do that, too.
Top candidate to win the Royal Rumble. I keep telling you, John, Xavier Woods is going to win the Royal Rumble. And he just moved over to SmackDown, so he set that up. They set it up, man. Big E's been champion. Kofi's been champion. Woods is next. It's Woods time. Woods versus Roman at WrestleMania. Woods wins the Rumble. Woods challenges Roman at Mania. Woods becomes Universal Champion. He'll be the first member of New Day to become Universal Champion.
If you're lucky, he's going to win the King of the Ring tournament, which they announced is going to start up again. So maybe he's going to win that because I know he really wants to win that a lot. So I think that's his top goal right now.
He's not going to win that. He's going to win the Royal Rumble, goddammit. Believe in it, John. It's a good story.
Well, again, they'd have to go in that direction, as I told you before. And right now, there's no indication of that whatsoever. King of the Ring, at least he's hyped that up a little bit. That he actually cares about that.
Yeah. You're not wrong about that. But I don't know. I don't know who's going to win King of the Ring. They also announced that. That'll start next week on SmackDown and will continue on the following episode of Raw, which is kind of fun. King of the Ring and Queen's Crown. 2 tournaments. A men's and women's King of the Ring style tournament that will start on SmackDown next week, which is pretty cool. They didn't announce anybody that's going to be in any of these tournaments, though. They showed you some graphics of different wrestlers, but I think Nia Jax was shown in the Queen's Crown, and I think she's hurt, so I don't know.
Well, you think Charlotte right away, right?
Are the champions in this? I figure you keep the champions out of it, but I don't know.
I think they're just going to put whoever they have, really. I mean, when you look at it, too, there's a lot of injuries. They kind of need to... If this is going to be like a 16-person tournament, they're going to need to put whoever they can, possibly, because there's not a lot of people. Like SmackDown is, what, 5, 6 women?
Yeah, but they use from both brands. You just get everybody in there. Do they even have 16 women on their roster total?
Well,
is it going to be
pretty sure.
Is it going to be that big of a tournament?
Idea. That's another question. Is it going to be that big?
I don't think so. Honestly, I think it'll be 8-person on either side because if they're going to do it over 2 nights, each person will probably have 1 match on the first night, and then they'll have 2 on Raw to finish it out. Right? You do you have 8, you put 8 down to 4, and then on Raw you do your semifinals and finals.
Yeah, people are soft. They used to do 3 matches in one night.
I know. It was better, but I don't think they're going to do that. And again, I don't think that they have that many women on their roster to do 16 people. Try to name 16 women on the WWE women's roster. I don't know. They have a few, but do they have 16? On the main show, they could call some people up, but it's kind of tight.
It's tight because of the injuries, I think.
I'm going to try to do it. Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bianca, Liv, Carmella, Tamina, Natty, Rhea Ripley, Nikki Ass, That's 10. Shotzi,
Right.
Tegan, Tony Storm. I need 3 more,
Zelina.
and I'm struggling. Zelina. That's 14. Are there 2 more?
Yeah, Doudrop.
Naomi and Doudrop. 16. We did it. Book them all. Naomi and Doudrop. How can we forget about Doudrop?
Well, I can forget because I barely watch Raw, so.
I know. This triple threat match has been pretty good. Jade Cargill hit Nyla Rose with like a big boot that was devastating. Jade Cargill looks like she hits really hard. Yeah, they've got like a trash can in there now. They're using weapons. Oh, Cargill with a big spine buster on Nyla Rose. Oh, the Cargill boot totally misses Thunder Rosa, but Thunder bumps anyways, because fuck it. That was ugly as hell. Oh, what a terrible neck breaker by Nyla Rose on Jade Cargill. God damn, that was bowling shoe ugly. Holy shit. Oh, now a single leg crab for some reason. It's a bizarre turn of events. Had to take a bump there.
Transition move.
Yeah. Did you see that missed boot followed by the neck breaker by Nyla Rose? That was rough.
The boot was, she just didn't get high enough. She kicked her like more like in her stomach, it looked like, or the side of her stomach. It looked
she
like.
Grazed her on the stomach.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really Thunder's fault. Like, she felt something, she went down, but the boot, that's more on Jade. But that's going to happen when it's like, what, her 10th match ever? Not surprised.
Yeah.
And this is probably clearly her first ever triple threat match. I'm sure that's not very easy to do. Television,
like,
bam, triple threat match.
It's a hardcore match, too.
Well, triple threat because it's no DQ, right? So, but I'm surprised
they
use weapons.
Thunder just powerbombed Nyla Rose off the second rope to the outside through a table. Holy shit. I don't know. This might be match of the night after that. Holy shit. What?
It's a little unexpected.
She's dead. She died. Is she okay? Oh, my God. That was horrible.
You have to understand, like, she didn't lift Nyla. Like, she just, like, kind of grabbed her, like, kind of like last ride kind of thing, like, and just, like, pulled her down.
Yeah, but the way Nyla landed, like, with a thud, just like, thump.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm just helping describe it. Like, it wasn't exactly, like, lift her up powerbomb. It was, like, grab her. She was already on the second and then down to the outside.
Yeah, from the apron.
It's a big fall.
Oh, now Jade Cargill's hitting Thunder Rosa with some light chair shots. I think Jade is being careful here. What? Was that it? She won? After those weak chair shots, that's it? Jade pins Thunder. Jade pins Thunder! Jade wins!
I
told you she was going to win. Shots. I told you. Chair shots were awful. If she hit her too, I think she's scared to hit her too hard because she might kill her, which she would. I mean, Jade is so muscular. Look at those shoulders. Good God. She won. I told you she'd win. Yeah, it was a bad finish.
It was a horrible finish.
Yeah. That was really bad.
I would argue, like, okay, that might be an argument for match, but there was a couple of things there with a little bit off. So.
Yeah, no. Bryan and Nick Jackson still best match. That power bomb though, that was like the coolest thing I've seen all night. That was the coolest single bump.
A for effort.
Yeah.
A for effort, no question. But there was some things that were kind of off there. But it's going to happen. Jade in her first ever triple threat match. I mean, it's to be expected. We expected something like this would happen. So it's too bad though in the finish. It's really too bad.
The finish was not good. She just like hit her with a couple of weak chair shots and then like pinned her. I was like, what? This can't be over.
At least give her a move or something. Like,
yeah, why no move? What the hell was that?
I think they were expecting the chair shots were going to be so devastating, but unfortunately they were not. So you needed to actually hit something more devastating, but they, I think, had the idea of like, oh, just hit with chairs, it'll be enough.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Aleister Black is
taped
doing
that
a
too.
promo now. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Redo the finish?
I would redo the finish after
I
that.
don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Aleister Black said some things I don't think they were important. But Jade Cargill getting a big win, man. That was a big win for Jade Cargill to pin Thunder Rosa clean.
And now she's gonna wrestle Britt. Like that's very surprising. If that's
Is
gonna happen.
she? Was that the stipulation for this match?
I don't know if that was a stipulation, but it's definitely gonna push her up the rankings. There's no question about it.
It should. It's one of the bigger
Wasn't
matches
Thunder-
you can have.
Was just pinned like the number one ranked wrestler, no? So
She beat Thunder Rosa, who's, the last person to really beat Britt Baker. She's the number one ranked challenger, and she beat Nyla Rose in that match too, who's the first ever champion in the company. So that's a pretty big match for Jade Cargill. Hell yeah. Jade's moving up the ranks, baby. You can't stop Jade Cargill.
interesting if they do that match. It's kind of weird because like they keep flip flopping this whole Britt wrestling heels, wrestling faces. It's weird. They finally had it too with Ruby. Like they finally got people to boo her, and now they're gonna go back the other way.
I think people just like Britt too much, and you have to go with it. You have to keep her as the same character, but just embrace that she's a babyface and have her wrestle heels. And I think Jade Cargill would be the perfect challenge right now to take the title off of Britt, to stand tall as champion. I think people would be so mad to see Britt lose the belt at this juncture, especially to Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill is somebody that the hardcore AEW fans don't love and appreciate as much as they do so many others in AEW, and I think it would get a ton of heat if Jade Cargill became AEW champion by beating Britt Baker like real soon. It would get a ton of heat, right?
Yeah, it's just I'm surprised that they aren't going to do Thunder Rosa against Britt when Britt's champion. Makes sense that Britt is champion defending against Thunder. That was her toughest challenge ever. So surprising if they don't do it.
Why not just put? You could wait for Thunder and Britt down the road if you really wanted to. I would just do everything with Jade Cargill. Just make Jade Cargill your champion, this undefeated, unstoppable force that no one can, mess with whatsoever. It's how she's been built. Why not? It would get a ton of heat.
I'll wait and see. Like this match definitely puts her in that right direction for that to happen. So.
Wow. Jade Cargill does it again. She's the best. She's that bitch. Don't fuck with her. Brian Firth dropping a super chat. Thank you, Brian. He says, hey, guys, doesn't Isaiah Swerve Scott NXT American Champion? So what do you think they will do with his title? Is he in the hit thing? Swerve? Yeah. So he's North American champion, and he's in the hit thing. So he's been drafted to SmackDown. He'll probably drop that North American title between now and Crown Jewel, and then just move up to SmackDown without the belt, right?
That's it. There's 3 weeks. It's definitely going to have a title change. I could see, Braun Breaker or something like that. Someone like that's probably going to win the title.
Braun Breaker! That guy's the man. I love Braun Breaker. He's my favorite NXT guy for sure. Give me a pick of winner of King of the Ring and winner of Queen of the Ring. Queen Crown, whatever.
It would help if we had actual people that we knew were in the actual tournaments here.
I know.
Just a pick randomly.
Yeah, just give me. Who do you want to see win? Who needs it? Who needs something like this? Who should? What do you think?
Oh, who needs it? Kevin Owens definitely needs it.
Yeah, but
no question. Is he even
be realistic?
Probably not.
No. He might be in it, but he'll lose first round. Let's be honest.
I'd be surprised if he's going to actually be in it, to be honest.
Ooh, the Casino Ladder match. Winner gets a world title match. They got Pac, Andrade, Moxley, Archer, 2 other mystery guys, and a Joker, which will be like some sort of maybe new person. I don't know. That's pretty cool. Set up for Dynamite on Wednesday. They got that casino ladder match. I think Bobby Lashley's going to be King of the Ring.
That's interesting.
I think you move on with Bobby as like King Bobby. Hasn't he
Yeah.
Didn't he almost win King of the Ring, but then Booker beat him? Wasn't that the thing? Didn't Bobby almost win? He was in the finals?
He was in the finals, but lost to King Booker, yes.
That's right. That's when Booker became King Booker. That's when Booker became King Booker, probably the greatest king in the history of wrestling. And yes, I'm including Jerry Lawler in that conversation. All right?
Wow, I mean, Owen Hart was pretty good, too.
Yes, but I think King Booker was better.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, different eras.
Owen was great as a King of Hearts and all the stuff and all the promos that he did as King of the Ring, and it did enhance his character. But King Booker, he got an accent. You know, he developed a new accent. It was this phony British accent. He stuck his pinky in the air. Charmel, all hail King Booker! It was fantastic. King Booker! Oh my God. King Booker was amazing. I loved King Booker so much. I wish he would come back just to win this thing and resume being King Booker for the rest of his career.
I felt it started good for Booker, but then once he lost the title, it just went downhill for him. He had that group where he had Finlay and Regal with him.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much not really important whatsoever. And then every time he'd have a match, it's it's a big deal, but he'd always lose. So he kind of just lost importance. And then he just suddenly was gone, not WWE anymore.
Yeah. Remember, wasn't that a SummerSlam that he was a King Booker? He was on this great run, and he was building up a match with Triple H, and Triple H, didn't show up at all to do any of the build, and Booker was doing all these promos and talking about how he was the only king of wrestling, and the King of Kings wasn't really that good. I think it was a SummerSlam, and then Triple H came in, that piece of shit, and beat him in 5 minutes. Fucking awful.
And then Booker got suspended, I think, the Monday after or something.
Fucking Triple H. He never did fucking steroids. How come he didn't get suspended? Because I have a relationship with Vince, and he tells me when I'm gonna get tested. I don't even get tested. You know?
Well, I don't know, but it's speculation.
I don't know either. I'm speculating. It's a parody. It's all jokes. I'm doing impressions. It's all jokes. It's not actual thing. It's parody, okay? I can get away with anything if I say it in this voice.
And you do.
That's
There's
right.
No question about it. You get away with it.
You're fucking right, I do. Brock Lesnar came out tonight dressed as Mick Foley with a big Beast logo belt buckle. Well, what's with the flannel shirt, man? That's gimmick infringement.
No, not really. I feel like people did it.
Who else wears a flannel shirt in professional wrestling? Is there any other professional wrestler famous for wearing a flannel shirt? Just because Brock's a real-life lumberjack doesn't mean he gets to steal Mick Foley's goddamn gimmick. Next week he's going to come out in sweatpants and he's going to say bang bang.
No, it's not going to happen. Just Brock comes out wherever he wants to come out in. Doesn't matter, his hair can be tied up and whatever. It kind of looks stupid, but it doesn't matter. It's Brock. No one's going to tell him.
I like his hair like that. He looks cool.
Him and Daniel Bryan, I don't get it, but whatever. That's their thing.
It's the look for the cool guys in wrestling these days. You should do it too. Brock Lesnar came out.
Jack Evans kind of too, almost like.
Yeah, Jack Evans.
Jack Evans is a bit different.
Yeah, he's got just a little ponytail. It's not like the tight little man bun deal thing. Brock came out, interrupted the Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman promo on SmackDown tonight. That belt buckle was terrible. The Beast logo, just this gigantic belt buckle that he was wearing, looked uncomfortable too. It looked weird. Roman and Brock fought a little bit, and then the Usos hit the ring, allowing Roman to escape. Brock hit a suplex and the F5 on the Usos while Roman watched. And then Brock Lesnar later on told everybody he's not in the draft because he's a free agent. He could do whatever the hell he wants. And Jeff Hardy was about to get interviewed there. Brock just kind of scared him off. Poor Jeff. Brother Nero! You're now on SmackDown. Brother Nero got moved to SmackDown. So, Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown tonight and did, the bare minimum. But Johnny liked it.
Oh, Brock showed up. I mean, I wasn't expecting that, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just too bad for guys like Jeff, though. Like, because if makes the move, you think, oh, they're going to start doing something with Jeff. And it's like, oh, push to the side, Jeff. Like, you're not important. You don't even get to say anything, So don't get your hopes up about Jeff Hardy, like rebirth or whatever. That's not really going to happen. He's there, but that's about it.
Yeah, they have
Also,
no plans for Jeff Hardy.
For Bianca, that's kind of rough for her. Like, she gets drafted and she just loses. That's kind of really rough. I mean, she better win that title at Crown Jewel because it's kind of rough for her right now.
No chance.
No chance. That's rough.
I'd say there's no
This is
chance.
like brand new star. You made it WrestleMania, and you're slowly destroying that.
I think Becky retains at Crown Jewel, goes over to Raw. Maybe continues the feud with Bianca over there. There's a chance, I suppose, that Bianca wins, because either way, that belt's going to Raw. It needs to go to Raw, because Charlotte's the Raw champion. She just went over to SmackDown. She's not dropping a belt to anybody on Raw. So I think Charlotte and whoever's the SmackDown champion are just going to swap belts at some point. I feel like it would make more sense with Becky, because there's that, they're both heels, they're friends, they know each other. They could just say, okay, I'm on SmackDown, you're on Raw. Let's just trade belts and move on with our lives. You saw at the end of the show there tonight, Bianca Belair losing to Sasha Banks with a little help. Becky Lynch interference there, helping Sasha. Becky was on commentary. I thought she was very good. Becky Lynch is so damn good at everything she does. I see her stomach, man. She's so ripped. How did she have a baby in the last, year or whatever? It's crazy. It's crazy what kind of shape she's in after having a kid. It's nuts. It's honestly crazy what kind of shape she's in just for a human being. See how ripped she is? She's, more ripped than ever. She's wearing, little belly shirts all the time, showing off her abs. She's crazy ripped, Becky Lynch. Bianca is, too. Sasha's in great shape. I mean, but Becky came back in, better shape than ever. It's crazy. She looks like a world champion, as always. Right? Isn't she, more ripped now? Seems like maybe she's lost a little mass, but she's a lot more defined, Very muscular. Showing off the guns on commentary. It's great stuff.
Well, the thing is, I only saw her wrestle against Bianca at the last pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. So it just looks like she's smaller now because obviously Bianca's just so much bigger. So that's the only thing I really noticed. But again, that's kind of unfair because Bianca is just bigger than most of them. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to really look at Becky that way, I guess. But I guess when you see her wrestle, maybe probably a Charlotte, obviously against Sasha, she's going to look a lot better.
Yeah, I just think that she looks like she's in top shape. I thought she was really fun on commentary. I thought it was interesting that she talked about her match when she beat Bianca at SummerSlam, and they were calling that move that she did to her something. They had some sort of Becky Lynch name for it, but she called it a rock bottom. She's like, oh, yeah, I rock bottomed her at SummerSlam, and I beat her, da-da-da. I'm like, what? I thought it was called the Beck something, the Lynch driver or something. Didn't they have a name? The man bottom, not the man bottom.
The manhandle slam.
The manhandle slam. Thank you. But Becky called it a rock bottom. Can't we just call it a rock bottom? Why do you have to fuck around? You know, we know what it is. Manhandle slam. If Becky's calling it a rock bottom on commentary, I think we could just call it the rock bottom.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but they like to give everyone their own little takes, their own little names for every little thing. Like, Randy Orton hits the diamond cutter, but they don't call it the diamond cutter, right?
It's not quite the diamond cutter. Diamond cutter was with two hands. Randy does it with one arm. It's a different move.
That's okay, fine. All right.
I'm right, too.
Pretty much. Yeah, you're not wrong, but I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. A modified diamond cutter. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. On the indies, you would just call it a cutter, right? But DDP did it where he grabbed you here, but then he also hooked the back of your head and he kind of locked his arms, and then he dropped, right? But Randy just grabs you with one arm under the chin.
Well, to be fair, though, DDP sometimes, because he would just hit it out of nowhere a lot of times. So he didn't always get the hook like that. He would just, however he would get it, he would get it.
Yes.
So,
but the majority of the times it was a two-armed cutter.
Right.
A bang! After Sasha beat Bianca there tonight in the main event, which I thought was a pretty solid match, Charlotte shows up, drops Sasha and Bianca with big boots, and then Charlotte posed in the ring with her belt, and then Becky posed on the ring or the announce table there with her belt. And it was kind of like, all right, we're both the champions, and, eventually we'll just swap belts. That's what it felt like to me.
Well, I think they were trying to position it where it's like, the champions are on both shows now. What's going to happen? They're going to face off. I think that's where they try to position it, but maybe you're right. Maybe that's what's going to happen. They're just going to swap the titles. I think that's stupid. It's pointless doing that kind of stuff. They make it seem like something happens, but nothing really happens. You just swap the champions, and it's really just the champions went to different shows. That's all it is. It's like the U.S. champion and the IC champion switch shows. Like, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do now? Charlotte's the Raw champion. She's been moved to SmackDown. Like, what do you suggest they do with her belt?
That's it. You're the Raw champion. They switched it. It's on them for doing that.
I mean, they're going to keep Charlotte on Raw, right? For the time being, because the new rosters don't take effect until after Crown Jewel. So it is possible that Charlotte drops the belt to somebody on Raw, a Shayna, somebody like that. And the Raw belt stays on Raw, and Becky could drop the belt to, say, Sasha Banks at Crown Jewel. Sasha could remain on SmackDown, and there you have it. It's possible. I don't see it, though. I feel like Becky and Charlotte just swap.
Well, they've done this before, right? They did this for the tag team titles. Was it not last year? So
New Day and Street Profits. They just traded.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy has defeated Jack Evans. That match was all over the place. Jack Evans doing all sorts of crazy flips and flies. And now they are cutting his hair. Kind of.
Yeah, they've blocked out the Hardy family from interfering.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of baby faces there with him. Dark Order was helping kind of keep the Hardy family away. And they are shaving Jack Evans' head right now in the middle of the ring on Dynamite. Well, you were commenting on Jack Evans' hairstyle before being similar to Brock Lesnar's and Bryan Danielson's. Not anymore. He's getting that head shaved.
Not anymore.
Nope. Pretty cool. And not something you see very often on a pro wrestling show these days. Guy getting his head shaved. I mean, there was a time where you would see it, every once in a while, but you don't see hair versus hair matches that much. It is a wrestling staple. It's something you always like to see. It's classic. It's real stakes, that's what you want. Everybody knows that wrestling is a work, but Jack Evans really got his head shaved there,
What's also fun is like when they shave the head, they just shave it so poorly, so it looks terrible on his head now, like what's left on his head.
Yeah.
But he has to shave the rest of his head because it just looks awful.
Exactly.
That's classic.
Exactly. But I just love the stipulation of, it's a real stipulation. It's like, hey, if we have a match, right, and it's for a belt, and you beat me for the belt, I don't have to carry this belt around, this ornamental thing. Like, it's cool and all to have a championship belt, but it's not real. If you beat me in a hair versus hair match, I have to shave my head. That's real. It's like a real consequence. In a business that everybody knows is, pardon me, fake, when you have a hair versus hair match, it's like, well, everything here was fake. Like Bryan, Nick Jackson doesn't really care that he lost to Bryan Danielson tonight, but, Jack Evans really did have to shave his head. It's real, And in a make-believe world, when the fans see some real shit in front of them, it's like, okay, cool. I can buy into this, Hair versus hair matches are good. Promoters figured it out a long time ago, and why not? And just for a fucking average episode of Rampage, just to have Jack Evans, Orange Cassidy, hair versus hair, it's kind of cool.
This kind of ties in to the whole Dark Side of the Ring thing where FMW, that was the whole thing. Like, wrestling might be predetermined, but it doesn't mean it still can't be real.
You goddamn right, pal. Anything else on SmackDown we want to cover? New Day and the Street Profits beating Gable, Otis, Ziggler, and Rude. New Day hitting their finisher on Rude for the win there. I feel like Otis looked cooler when he had the beard and hair. Now he just kind of looks regular. I don't know why they've made him look regular when he used to look amazing. Liv Morgan and Carmella was supposed to happen. It didn't. Carmella got some sort of weird mask on her face to protect her face. Then she attacked Liv Morgan, and her music hit, and then Carmella took off the mask, and that was it. There was no match. That was a big waste of time.
Second week in a row, if not mistaken.
I don't care about Carmella Liv Morgan's feud at all. I don't think anybody else does. Edge cut an in-ring promo talking about how old he is, saying he's the only guy still on the show that was on the first episode of SmackDown. Talked about Seth Rollins and how Seth keeps challenging him to a match, and he says he'll accept the match when he's 100% recovered from the attack that Seth laid upon him 3 weeks ago at Madison Square Garden. Then Seth appears on the big screen, and he says he didn't believe Edge would be at SmackDown, so he didn't go to SmackDown. He's at Edge's house.
Oh, boy. This crap.
So Edge, who's in Baltimore, Maryland, sees Seth Rollins. I mean, first of all, it took Edge a long time to recognize, like, the outside of his house. It was only when Seth was like, I'm at your house, Edge was like, oh, shit! And then he, like, runs out of the ring. From Baltimore to, like, North Carolina, I don't know if he planned on running. I don't know what the plan was, but when he ran out of the ring, I'm like, where are you going? What?
Well, he had his phone. Like, that's what I thought right away, too.
Yeah. You thought what? Like, he's not going to run there. Oh, to get his phone. Okay, I didn't think of that.
All white. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Edge ran out of the ring, and then Seth goes into the house because the door's unlocked for some reason, and no one is home.
Problem.
Right? No one's home. Door's unlocked. All the lights are on. Right? And Seth decides to make himself at home. Drink some juice that he takes from Edge's fridge. For some reason, there's no label on the obvious jug of Tropicana orange juice there. I wonder, somebody...
Because everyone only gets, like, when they get juice, like, heaven forbid there's a label or anything.
Yeah. You rip that label off that juice right away because somebody might come into your house, break in while they're on TV, and you can't have the label on your juice, right? So Seth takes the labelless jug of juice and an apple from the fridge, which is a weird combination, an apple and orange juice. Like, that, who's eating
Vitamin
that?
C, man. Gotta
But,
get more vitamin C. It's
a lot. Is that something you do? Have
No,
orange juice
not-
with a
not
side
that
of apple?
combination.
No, it's a weird combo.
That's-
That's what I'm saying.
It's too much.
Apples and oranges,
How
man.
about
Doesn't work.
how about the camera person though? Like, just goes in with Seth into the home, like, oh, that's fine,
Yeah. Also breaking and
The-
entering, that camera guy working for WWE. Not very cool. Seth just makes himself at home in Edge's house. And then we go back to the arena, and Edge is on the phone, and he's all panicked, and he tells Beth Phoenix, his wife, to go to her brother's house. He says, "I don't care about the groceries. Just don't go home." She's on the other line. But Edge, I've got groceries. I don't care about the groceries. He doesn't tell her why either. He doesn't say, "Oh, Seth Rollins is at our house." He's just like, "Don't go home."
He did.
Did he?
He did though.
Oh,
Yeah, he
I
did.
didn't notice that. I don't know. I was just laughing at the ridiculousness of the situation.
And
I guess I
mad
missed
respect
that.
for getting groceries at 9. That's always smart because it's not a lot of people usually. Then
Is that what you do? Is that the wrestler trick?
that's just a trick. Period. I don't think it's a wrestler trick. I mean, the wrestler trick is just to go whenever you can, really, because usually at 9 you're wrestling, right?
Yeah. But I find if you go later at night, all the good stuff is gone.
It depends because they restock at a certain time. If you know certain stores, you know when to go.
I just like to go early in the morning. I like to go around, 9 a.m. or something, 10 o'clock, something like that. I like to go earlier in the day before the rush. Get there first.
Oh,
I want
that's
first
one way
picks.
to do it.
First dibs, baby. It's usually pretty quiet at that time too. I won't go to a grocery store past say 11 on the weekend. No point. Too many people. I don't want to be around all those people. What the fuck are we talking about? Edge and Seth Rollins. Did Edge call the police too to be like, "Oh, Seth Rollins broke into my house. Can you go get him?" Or did he just call Beth Phoenix and say, "Don't go home. Call Christian.
that's
Tell him
much-
to come over. We need help." Beth is like, "Christian's on Rampage tonight." "No, it's pre-taped. God damn it. Call Christian." No?
That definitely didn't happen. But no police. Who knows if there's going to be a follow-up to this? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe they'll explain it on Raw. Who knows?
Yeah. Edge and Seth, I think, will both be going to Raw. Edge officially is on Raw. Seth hasn't been announced yet, but I figure it's going to happen. That was a terrible segment, right? That was really bad.
Well, just because of all the holes to the logic of this, they had this idea. And by the way, you reap what you sow here, Edge. Like, you did this to John Cena, so you kind of deserve this in a sense.
Revenge. Oh, and he beat up John Cena's dad, too, didn't he?
Exactly.
At least Seth isn't beating up anybody in Edge's family. That'd be bad. Edge did break into John Cena's house and beat up John Cena's dad. Seth should show the footage next week and be like, "See, this is what you did. You did this first. Ha 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 ha." You like my Seth Rollins impression? That was pretty good.
It's not whiny enough.
Hey, you did this first. I'm Seth Rollins. Yeah. Happy Corbin, speaking of guys that suck. Happy Corbin. He's Baron Corbin, Constable Corbin, King Corbin. He's now got a friend, Riddick Moss, who used to be Riddick Moss, is now Madcap Moss. Where do they get these fucking names? What the fuck is Madcap? What kind of name is Madcap? And he's like Baron Corbin's little assistant. He did some interference in the match with Kevin Owens and helped Corbin win, which was just sad for Kevin Owens. Just sad. Go to AEW, man. There's no point. Fuck it. It's terrible.
You say sad, but I mean, it was kind of predictable. I mean, they just started Happy Corbin, right? This was his first big match. Like, of course he was going to win.
Hasn't he beat Kevin Owens like many times before?
I feel like he beat him, but it was more like a DQ or something, or it was much like how you saw it tonight. There was a little bit of interference here or there. This was just to kind of put home that it was Happy Corbin that finally got the win.
Yeah. And Madcap. I don't know.
Was there too.
I mean, yeah. They got Madcap. They got Rick Boogs. Are they trying to find the most ridiculous characters they could possibly have? Is everybody Mojo Rawley on this show at this point? Like, what the fuck? You got that McAfee jumping up and down on commentary, acting a fool. You got a guy called Madcap, Happy Corbin. Like, this show is fucking ridiculous. I don't like any of these guys. Especially that McAfee. Fuck, he's annoying. He is so annoying on commentary. Just carrying on, jumping up and down, dancing. He goes into business for himself. He's getting himself over more than anything. And it's not working for me. I think he's dog shit. Goddamn terrible on commentary. I can't stand the guy. Some people like him, but, some people like a lot of dumb shit. So, fuck it. What are you going to do?
Well, I just remember how commentary was before with him, with Michael Cole and Corey Graves, and I thought that was pretty awful. So I'll take this over that. That's for sure. I mean, it's not great, but it's still an improvement.
Yeah, but it's still not good, right? At all. It's bad. It's quite bad. All right, so that was SmackDown. They did the draft. They did some things, a couple of movements here and there. Nothing major. Nothing major on the draft tonight. I don't think they're going to do anything major on Monday night either. Pretty weak, WWE. Very predictable, too. A lot of the moves I predicted, I think, Monday night when I was talking about Raw. A lot of predictable shit.
I think interest is going to be up high for Raw. I think people are really going to be interested to see what's going to happen. Goldberg's coming back. I think people are really going to want to watch Raw.
Goldberg coming back, of course, to continue to promote his match at Crown Jewel with Bobby Lashley. And Crown Jewel will be taking place on the 21st of October at noon Eastern Time. We will be on right after Crown Jewel right here to do a Crown Jewel recap here on the Ringside Report Network, as we are after every WWE pay-per-view. It's a pretty big one. They're in Saudi Arabia. They're doing another women's match. You got Becky Lynch defending the SmackDown title against Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. You've got Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. You're probably going to do Edge versus Seth Rollins there. You're going to do Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. You're going to do Big E defending the WWE title, possibly against somebody. Who? Didn't, I thought we had, like, an idea of where Big E was going next. Something happened.
I thought
on
it was
Raw.
going to be another match with Bobby Lashley, but they did that. And then I think they kind of teased Drew McIntyre, but Drew McIntyre, I guess, is not going to be on Raw anymore, so...
Yeah, but they're still going to have Drew lose to Big E. That's the one. I think they're going to do Drew versus Big E at Crown Jewel for the title, and Big E's going to win. They're going to have Big E get a big win over Drew before Drew goes over to SmackDown. You got to have a WWE title match on this show. Drew does make the most sense. He pointed at Big E with the sword and everything on Raw. Drew McIntyre.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening.
I don't disagree with that, but I find guys that lose on their way to a new show, it's really hard to get behind them right away. Like, Drew's going to need some big victories to come back from that.
Well, they're building up Happy Corbin so that Drew McIntyre can beat him when he comes into SmackDown. All right? Corbin. Beat Corbin, then go after Roman. Then he'll go after Roman. Doesn't matter. He'll beat an Uso or two. Who cares? Dark Side of the Ring, John. We got a couple of these things to cover. Let's start with the Kanyon one. A lot of stuff that I already knew. I knew a lot of the Kanyon story, the Young Bucks, and their story about Kanyon. I think the most shocking and kind of sad thing about it was the whole Undertaker deal where they made Kanyon come out of a box and sing, I think it was it Boy George or George Michael? One of those guys. I confuse those guys. Both guys.
Boy George.
Boy George, whatever. Two British guys named George. I confuse them. I don't really know either of their music. It's more AJ's era than mine, I don't know 80s music like that. But he was singing that song, right? And Boy George is the guy with the makeup, right? He was like a pretty out guy, right? Anyways, Kanyon came out, starts singing that song, the Boy George song, and then Undertaker beats the shit out of him with a chair, like just destroys him. And they're saying that was like that was after Undertaker found out that Kanyon was gay, and that's how Undertaker dealt with it, by beating the shit out of him with a chair on TV and embarrassing him. Which, I mean, that's what it seemed like. It's definitely, the way they kind of put it, the way it was described in the documentary, that's kind of what it seemed like. Thank you, Harold Schneider. Fist bump for you. Thank you, Harold, for the super chat. But what did you make of that Undertaker incident with Kanyon, first of all?
Well, there's two sides to every story, and like we saw what Kanyon's friends thought of the situation, but we never heard WWE's side of the story. We never heard from the Undertaker. So, yes, I can see how people saw it that way. Definitely looks bad, but I'd really like to hear what WWE thought about the situation, what Undertaker thought about that, because it's kind of different. Like, the way you think things went down and the way things actually went down, totally different sometimes. Especially like when you're wrestling, like what their thought process is might not be thinking like that. They're thinking just like, we're on television, we got to make this look good.
Yeah, but there was no follow-up to that story. There was no real reason why Kanyon came out and started singing that song. Like, it was an isolated angle. They did it one night, and it just seemed like a hate crime more than anything, right? Like, there was no follow-up. There was no reason for that to happen. As far as I can recall, it was just kind of a one and done, which, makes you wonder.
It's weird. There's no question about it. But again, like, until you heard the other side of the story, it's really hard to pass judgment on this.
Yeah, I suppose. What did you think of the documentary as a whole? Sad.
Well, yeah, very, very sad. Kanyon, very troubled, without question. I know you're really gonna be big on the fact that I'm gonna hate on John Cena a lot, but it didn't make John Cena look very good, in my opinion, whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, that was pretty bad what John Cena said. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, saying, Kanyon wasn't that talented of a wrestler, he wasn't that good, and that's why he's not with WWE. But at that point, he was a little bit past his athletic prime, and he wasn't. I mean, you saw kind of where Kanyon went, and he wasn't the same at a certain point in his career. And I'm not sure the timeline. Maybe Cena was right. Maybe Cena was right in his assessment. Maybe what Cena had seen was a guy who was past his prime and not very good. Maybe Cena wasn't a fan of his work at WCW and wasn't aware of the innovator of offense, It's possible that Cena didn't know any better, but it's also possible that Cena was just protecting the company that he was leading at the time.
Yeah, I'm more likely to lean towards that. It seemed like Cena was trying to be the company guy and being like, well, WWE didn't think you were good, so clearly you weren't good. That really seemed like how John Cena was taking it. I honestly, I wonder if John Cena really even watched Kanyon that much wrestle.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I don't know if he said that out of malice or just kind of out of ignorance. I'm not really sure. Cena definitely didn't look great in the documentary. I don't think he looked as bad as Undertaker did. I had no idea that, what's his name? Sinister Minister James, whatever
James
his name.
Mitchell.
Mitchell, yeah. What was Sinister Minister? Was that ECW he was at?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And
TNA as well.
TNA, he was Sinister Minister? I thought he was Father James Mitchell. Where's Father James Mitchell?
But I think he was Sinister Minister as well, though.
Okay.
Like, he had a couple of runs in TNA.
What a look that guy has, eh? God damn. Always had a great look as a manager. But I had no idea he had such a close relationship with Kanyon, who was, of course, Mortis in WCW, and all the violence that he had to deal with, and all the crazy stuff with Kanyon. Kanyon obviously dealt with some mental health struggles as well. The guy had some real demons, some real problems, and unfortunately, he was never able to kind of get them under control and get the help that he needed and feel comfortable in his own skin. And it's thank you, Angelo. And it's really disappointing, that Kanyon wasn't able to get the love and admiration that was there for him. I think that he had a lot of love and he had a lot of support, but he couldn't quite see it, and that happens. That happens, and it's sad. And unfortunately, he took his own life. Another wrestler taking their own life. It happens, a lot in pro wrestling. It happens a lot, in general, and it's just always sad. And it was a sad story. It was a sad, sad story. The story of Kanyon. But a lot of the documentary I had known about, like the Brian Cage stuff, the Young Bucks stuff. I've heard a lot of different stories about Kanyon. I've always been a fan of Kanyon. I've always been interested in the Kanyon story. So this was not something I was unfamiliar with. I was very aware of it. So for me, other than the Father James Mitchell stuff, there was not a ton that was new. It's just kind of sad to rehash the whole Kanyon story. Tremendous wrestler, very, very talented guy in the ring. And for some reason, it just never came together in the WWE. It seemed like it was on its way, and then it just never worked out. Who better than Kanyon? And at a time, not many. So, big fan of Kanyon, and just a real sad story in wrestling. Another Dark Side of the Ring. Good episode, but not my favorite episode. It was just like, yeah, I know. It's sad, but I know the story.
Well, I think it's an important story to tell. It's just, to me, it felt very incomplete, sadly. Like, again, it's good to get all sides of the story, and I find that they did cover a lot. They just didn't get everyone's side. Again, like, they paint WWE in a horrible light, it seems like almost every episode, and it feels unfair because WWE never gets a chance to rebuttal.
Yeah, but WWE, they tell their own story so much. They paint their own history so often that this is kind of, the non-WWE version. And I do agree with you. It is very like, WWE is the bad guy in a lot of the episodes. In a lot of the stories, they kind of are the bad guy, though. But I know what you're saying. But WWE gets so much room to tell their own stories and to kind of, paint the picture they want to do it the way they want, right? Like, you remember when they had the Dark Side of the Ring on the Ultimate Warrior? The same week, the WWE had their own documentary on the Ultimate Warrior on A&E. So they have their own story that they can tell, and they do tell those stories. Are they going to talk about Kanyon in great detail? Probably not. Probably not. But I'm sure that the Dark Side of the Ring people will reach out to people in WWE or Undertaker or whoever and try to get them on these shows, and I doubt they're interested in doing it. That's something I would be interested in knowing. Like, did they ask Undertaker to be on this, to comment on his incident with Kanyon? Did they reach out to Undertaker? Would he have said yes? I don't know. I wonder. I don't know if they reached out to them. I would hope that they did. Because in this documentary, they make Undertaker look like he committed some sort of hate crime. So you would hope that responsibly the filmmakers would ask Undertaker for a comment, and Undertaker would have said no, I guess, because he wasn't on this documentary. But I don't know their process. I don't know what they did. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat. Doug Hepburn says, rated R, super chat R. That's all I got. That's okay, Doug. Thank you, Doug, for the super chat. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Well, I saw Angelo posted something, actually.
Did Angelo just drop a super chat too? Oh, there you go. Angelo dropping a super chat. Thank you, Angelo, for the $13.99 super chat. He says, hey, guys, how you doing? Just stopping by to say hi, working Uber tonight. Have a great show. Thank you, Angelo. Appreciate you. Angelo jumping right in, and he is the super chat leader once again, taking the lead away from super chat. I don't know. I think it was kind of tight. I think it was Bryan and Doug were in the lead, but Angelo now in the lead as he is very often. We appreciate you, Angelo. Yeah. I hope that they ask Undertaker's comments, but I don't know. How about the other one, the FMW Dark Side of the Ring?
Well, Mick Foley was great on this. There's no question about it. Mick Foley, I think, helped describe this very well. Just how FMW was just a fed that took it to another level, pretty much.
Yeah. I was not super aware of FMW and all the characters and all that. Like, I've heard of Onita, but I never really watched Onita. I didn't know the Onita story. And it was pretty cool. You know, it made me want to go and check out some of his matches. That match with Terry Funk, the exploding ring match there where he goes and saves Terry Funk from exploding after he had defeated Terry Funk. Like Jericho said, that was like the greatest babyface move ever, one of the greatest matches he'd ever seen. It's cool, man. He came up with some cool gimmicks. You know, he seemed to introduce barbed wire and make it kind of popular in professional wrestling. He was definitely an innovator of hardcore wrestling. I don't really understand all the business stuff with the company. Like, he owned the company, and then he just gave the company to the ring announcer, and then the ring announcer, like, had some problems with the company, and he had to borrow money from the Yakuza, and then he had all these debts, so he wound up killing himself. But a lot of suicide in these shows, right? God damn. But then the Yakuza still collects debts on the family after you kill yourself, so the debt was on the family of the ring announcer who was given this promotion, and it seemed like Onita maybe knew that FMW was going down the drain, so he just kind of gave the company to this guy who just got caught up and wound up in a really bad situation. I'm not really sure if Onita is to blame in any kind of way for the situation with the ring announcer. That whole story was kind of murky. A lot of this documentary to me was kind of like, what? What's the message here? What are we supposed to understand by this story that you're telling? It felt, I mean, you said the Kanyon one felt incomplete. This one felt incomplete. I didn't understand anything with the ring announcer and, like, what really happened there? I need more information.
Yeah, I don't think they really had more information, sadly. I think what they had is what they gave us pretty much, so. But, like, I thought it was still entertaining to watch, though. Again, if you haven't watched FMW, I've seen a few tapes, but this really, I think, helped give you a broad understanding of what the company was all about and how there's, like, a little bit of ECW that was added in there as well, so.
Yeah.
That's what I think helped make the company a little bit more exciting to watch if you're, like, a North American fan.
It seemed to be ECW before ECW, right? They had the technical wrestling, they had the high flyers, and then they also had the hardcore deathmatch style, which was kind of the main thing of what they did. And when they were describing FMW in that way, I was like, yeah, wasn't that ECW? I feel like Heyman got a lot of his inspiration from FMW, right? Didn't FMW come first?
Yeah, pretty much. Just, like not every little thing that they did though. Like as you saw, like they did a lot of entertainment stuff near the end. Like Heyman didn't really take that kind of stuff. The barbed wire matches, yes, I think Sabu mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
But I don't believe they did a bit of fire, but not to that extent though. They never went that much. They had like flaming tables in ECW and I think flaming chairs, but that's as far as it went. Never like a flaming ring.
Yeah, that ring where they lit those like things on the ropes and the fire got too hot and everybody had to bail, but poor original Sheik was like stuck in the middle of the ring and he couldn't escape. And then he had to roll out of the ring and he had like burns on 60% of his body. Like, that's crazy stuff, man. Fire matches and different things. But the entertainment style, that wasn't Onita. That was brought in by the ring announcer after the company was kind of out of Onita's hands, I think. So I feel like Heyman took a lot from FMW and maybe learned some lessons. Like, yeah, maybe light some tables on fire, but don't light the whole ring on fire. You know, even WWE, when they did their Inferno match with Undertaker and Kane, like, it was a lot more controlled. There was like a few flames like around the ring, but it wasn't anything like that FMW fire ring match where like there was no oxygen left in the ring and they had to bail on the match because it was just a mess. So I think it was cool because Onita and the whole company seemed like they were willing to push the envelope and just go as far as deathmatch wrestling and crazy exploding things could take them. Like, they were willing to go to the limit and then past the limit and see what happened. And sometimes it worked and it was magic, and sometimes it didn't work and it was fucking scary, you know? Mick Foley talking about that one girl who had like fire, she got burned, and then her gear was like burned into her skin, and she was screaming this horrible scream, and he had to put it out of his mind and just go wrestle his match. But it was like really scary shit that he had to see, and like it was kind of a war zone sometimes, and it was a ton of blood and a lot of scars and burns, and you know, it was entertaining, it was emotional, especially Onita knew how to play it, but at the same time, they took things too far sometimes, and people got seriously hurt, and it was not good. It was not good. I'm not a big fan of that style of wrestling, but I do understand it's got a place. I like it I like it in a feud between two wrestlers that wrestle, and then, you know, it takes it to this weird place where you have to do a death match because you hate each other so much, and maybe there's some barbed wire, and, you know, I like that as a stipulation once in a while, but for that to be like what you do on a consistent basis, like Onita said, like, I was bleeding to death every night. I was like, yeah, all right. It's a little much. Like, maybe not every night, because then if you're doing it every night, that's all you can do. And I'm not super impressed by somebody who can just take a lot of punishment. Like, it's cool if you can take a lot of punishment, but I'd like to see you be able to do something else. Like, if you can just take punishment and you have no other skills, I'm not that interested. Like, Mick Foley wasn't a guy who could just take punishment. He could cut a promo. He's very good at telling a story. He had good offense. Like, he was a good wrestler. Yes, he could take crazy punishment, but he was also very good at wrestling. So I'm not a big fan of just deathmatch style, because I feel like you got to be able to do some other shit too. And Onita seemed like he was just kind of bleeding all the time. But he had emotion to it. I mean, he told stories, you know. He was really good at it, it seemed, from the documentary anyways. And from everything I've heard, Onita was like the best. But there's a lot of guys out there that just kind of bleed, and that's all they do. You know, there's a lot of deathmatch wrestlers that aren't Onita, you know. A lot of hardcore wrestlers that aren't Mick Foley or Terry Funk or Sabu.
Well, from what I found watching Onita, because I think I watched one of the best of Onita tapes one time, FMW, and it just felt like, yeah, the match stipulation was different, but it was pretty much the story of the same match. It's like Onita's gonna go in there and get his butt kicked, and then make this heroic comeback and win, and cut this promo where he's crying, and it was pretty much the same thing all the time. And yeah, like it worked. People were happy about it, but it was exactly the same thing. Just different match setting, whatever, different opponent. But it's like, oh, Nita's gonna go down in a blaze of glory, but no, he's gonna make a big comeback and FMW forever.
Super chat.
Like not to say it was bad, but it got repetitive.
Well, then maybe I won't watch it. If it's the same thing over and over again, he cries, he pours water on his head, but the people seem to love it. Jericho put it over like it was the greatest thing ever.
It worked. Yeah, that's it. I mean, people loved it. People came. You know, it drew. So I mean, he made money. So you can't blame that. But I'm just saying, like, if you are watching, like, oh, I want to see what this match was like. I mean, okay, there was barbed wire here, and there was barbed wire in this situation, explosion here, explosion there. That's really the only difference, really. Like, there's not really like amazing wrestling moments except for explosions here and there.
Yeah, I didn't see any great wrestling, really. I just saw guys exploding. And then I saw Hayabusa doing a lion salt, but landing on his head and paralyzing himself, which was another sad story there of the FMW tale.
Yeah, that was sad. With Onita's matches, a lot of it was just powerbomb on the head, probably a suplex here or there. That was mostly his matches.
Yeah. And then he bled, and then he cried, and then it was over. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat saying, Johnny, we need a Habs season preview show with AJ.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'll do it with AJ, sure.
Okay. Maybe I'll just produce it. We'll put it on the Ringside Report Network, and I won't have to be involved. I'll just kind of sit behind the scenes and, let you guys do your magic talking about hockey. I don't want to be involved in that show. I'll sit back and watch you and AJ take over. See how that works. If you guys want to do that, you can.
You can do like a Yankees postseason like preview.
If they make the postseason, they lost to the Rays tonight, which sucks. So
yeah, but they're still like number one in the wild card now.
Yeah, but wild card means you get one game and you have to win it, and then you have to move on to probably play the Rays, which sucks for the Yankees because the Rays constantly beat us, as they did tonight.
Well, you got to beat the Rays if you're going to make the playoffs, right? So.
Yeah, AJ, that's not happening. AJ wants to do the show at a bar. I don't see how that would work. Unless
doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense because how would we record it? How would you put it on? How would that work?
Well, just the acoustics. Like that's number one right there.
AJ has the worst ideas. AJ wants to do watch-alongs from a bar. I'm like, I won't be able to hear you, and you'll be really dark. He's like, no, it'll be great. And we tell him, all right, well, why don't you just go to the bar and you can stay off the watch-along, AJ? And then he bails on the idea.
Well,
because
there's ways we can pull it off.
Yeah.
There's ways we can pull it off. Let's talk about it.
I mean, like, already you guys doing a hockey show on the Ringside Report Network is like, I'm not really in favor of it. If AJ wants to do it at a bar, I'm just going to say, yeah, let's not do that at all. Let's just cancel that, because why? Because why? I don't think the majority of people tune into the Ringside Report Network to see us talk about fucking hockey. I really don't.
No, but it'd be interesting. It'd be fun just to do.
You and AJ a hockey special? Who gives a shit?
It'd be fun.
I mean, sorry, Doug, but like, who gives a shit? Is hockey starting again? I feel like hockey never ends. When is that?
Well, it's because like it started late, right? So then it ended late, and now it's starting where it's supposed to start. So that's why.
Meh. Wow.
Isn't like baseball supposed to be over by now?
No, it's October 1st. The season doesn't usually end till the 3rd, which is exactly when it will end. Season always ends October 3rd. Always. And then we have October baseball, baby. Playoffs. I remember I had a birthday party when I was maybe, 11 or something, 8, 9, I don't know, something. I don't know how old I was. But we all went to the last game of the season. It was on my birthday. and that was the birthday party. We went to an Expos game. Me and my friends went to the ball game, and it was the last game of the season. It was on October 3rd, so that's how I know.
Against the Braves?
I don't remember if it was against the Braves. Might have been the Phillies or the Mets, but one of those teams, one of those AL East teams. I don't think it was the Marlins because I don't know if they existed yet. That's how old I am, John.
It was NL East.
Yeah. Well, it could have been the Pirates then, I guess. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But, yeah, last game of the season, usually on October 3rd, and then we start October postseason baseball, which is very, very exciting. Also, OJ was found not guilty on October 3rd, 1995. I also remember that happening on my birthday. That's about it. That's all I got for you.
Well, what's going to happen October 3rd this year?
I'd say jack shit.
Okay. All right. Well, calm, peaceful. That's nice.
Hoping for nothing. I'm hoping for nothing to happen. And that's it. I'm done. I am done. Angelo Cotagonis, you are the Super Chat leader. Thank you, my man. Thank you to Doug Hepburn dropping the Super Chats. I will email you back about this Orange Cassidy thing. Doug saying happy birthday, Dave. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Harold Schneider, dropping a Super Chat. Thank you, Brian Firth, dropping a Super Chat. Thank you, Franco316. Thank you to all the members as well. Appreciate you guys. All the members, Doug, Angelo, Franco, Harold, Brian. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. And that's it. That's it. I'll be back here on Monday night after Raw. Oh, my God. I actually get a couple days off in a row. I don't think that's happened in a while.
You had you had the UFC, had the Extreme Rules. So, yeah, it was a pretty long week.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous week. Like, it never, ever ended. It seems like we've been working constantly every day forever. So it'll be nice to get a weekend off here and then be back at it after the draft. Night 2 of the draft on Monday night, right after Raw. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, do all the things, leave a comment, helps the algorithm. We appreciate you. Okay? I'll see you after Raw right here on the Ringside Report Network.